Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. With the new Supergirl movie out featuring Lobo, I thought this would be a good time to take a look at the first time that Lobo and Supergirl teamed up together. And so that leads us to this book here, Brave and the Bold #4 from 2007, published by DC Comics. And so this was the series that Mark Waid started out writing. And so for this issue, we have Mark Waid on writing duties, George Perez doing the penciling, and Bob Wiacek on inks. So this is the fourth part of the Lords of Luck storyline that features Supergirl and Lobo in this chapter. Supergirl had previously appeared in a couple issues already. So she was in issue 2 here with Green Lantern, where they're on this sort of like casino world, and they bet on Supergirl winning a fight where she goes incognito and is kind of a ringer for this big fight that becomes like a scandal on the planet when everyone finds out. But she gets separated from Green Lantern and needs to rendezvous with him on Rann, which is what happens to her in this issue. So issue 3 focuses on Batman and Blue Beetle, but we do get some subplot here with Supergirl trying to make her way to Rann, and so she needs a guide. So here she's on this alien world trying to find a guide. Nobody wants to give her the time of day because of what they pulled on the casino planet, but this one guy tells her there's a guide that she can use, but she has to find him quickly. And so then we get Lobo here as he's getting ready to be executed by firing squad. So right as they're about to blast him, Supergirl flies in and whisks him away. Here on the following page, she hires him to be her guide to Rann, and that leads us into issue 4 of the storyline. So we open here with the sort of aftermath of the last issue that was featuring Batman and Blue Beetle. So Batman was hit by a weapon here and merged with Tharok from the Fatal Five, the Legion of Superhero Villains. So we get a half Batman, half Tharok character here. And so we get, sort of a throwdown with the Fatal Five. But that's really not what we're here for. We're here for the Supergirl Lobo team up. So this is Lords of Luck, Part 4, The Garden of Destiny. It starts off here with Lobo and Supergirl arm wrestling in a space bar. So a bunch of the patrons are betting on who's going to win, Supergirl or Lobo. Lobo ends up winning. Supergirl then claims that she let Lobo win. After winning, Lobo offers to buy everybody in the bar a round of drinks. Supergirl tosses this one big guy here because she has to get on the road. She doesn't have time for Lobo to get drunk at the bar with everybody. So they leave the bar and they're enveloped in this white light. This is kind of a nice sort of lo-fi effect here. We have just the black ink lines here, no shading or coloring or anything on this panel. And then we're back to like full inks and colors in the next panel here. So our characters find themselves in this giant hedge maze. They can't see a way out. Supergirl's trying to use her X-ray vision to look through the maze to find a way out. Lobo comments for Supergirl to take her X-ray vision off of his package and look around. She mentions that she was using her microscopic vision for that. Here on the next page, Supergirl tries to fly off into the sky and comes back up through the dirt. Yeah, there's definitely some weird sort of things going on with the dimension they're in here of this outer space maze. But Lobo reminds us that he is one of the greatest trackers in the universe, and so he just starts making his way through the maze. So here on the next page, they've gone through the maze that we can see now is shaped like a giant hand. And here we find Destiny with its hourglass. He has lost the Book of Destiny, which is kind of the big MacGuffin for this storyline. That's what's kind of the through line for all these different teams up that we got in the book at this time. Lobo instinctively tries to lash out at him with his hook and chain, but it just passes right through him like a ghost. Here we have Destiny kind of explaining to them what's going on, how the book has been stolen, and that there were pages being rewritten, and he's not really sure what's going on. And then we have the Lords of Luck here, which are these giant creatures with eyeballs for heads. And he mentions that they have coveted the Book of Destiny for eons. They are also manipulating events to get the book to them. Here we have Lobo finding his bike and just kind of doing donuts through this garden that they're in with Destiny. Supergirl is inquiring how Lobo got his bike back once the portal closed after them. Lobo says he can track anything. Supergirl lashes out at him at this point too, because he's been calling her blonde throughout the book, and so she's finally had it here with him. Destiny then opens a portal for them to go through so they can track down the book. As they're flying through space, Lobo is questioning Supergirl's motivation for trying to find the book. He's assuming that she wants to see her future and see how her life turns out. She tells him that she wants to find out if there were any more survivors from Krypton, which takes Lobo aback here for a panel. Something we rarely see is Lobo, not having a quip to retort with. But Lobo tells her that there's more to being the sole survivor to make her someone as cool as the main man, and assumes that's what she's trying to do. So here they arrive at Ran. Supergirl tells Lobo what the plan is, how they need to find Green Lantern. Lobo stops her, saying, hey, all I was supposed to do was bring you here. He's the guide. Supergirl kind of snaps at him because of what is at stake with the universe and the Book of Destiny. Lobo is just interested in getting paid for the job he's done at this point. Supergirl jumps off the bike and heads down to the planet, telling him that his payment was her not beating him in the arm wrestling contest earlier in the book and embarrassing him. Lobo yells at her that she's welched on their agreement, and she just tunes him out, going la la la, not listening, as she falls to the planet. So Supergirl is trying to find Green Lantern and decides she could just start x-raying the planet and kind of do like a systematic sweep for him. As she's approaching the planet, she's mistaken for a Thanagarian, and the people below start firing on her. And then she sees Adam Strange with Green Lantern in the middle of a fight with a bunch of Thanagarian Hawkmen. Now we cut back to the beginning of the book with Batman and Thera fused together, and the Fatal Five sort of laying around being defeated. And we see this hatch open up, and we get the Legion of Superheroes introduction. So the next issue will be Batman and Legion teaming up. But again, the focus on this issue is the Supergirl Lobo storyline. And as we have gotten some of this in the previous issues, I wish there was more of it here. I do like the kind of road trip idea of Supergirl and Lobo traveling around. I just wish there was more of it here. We have, some other subplots going on. And again, the bad thing about just reading this issue is that it is part of a larger story. So this is just chapter 4 of this particular story, but I wanted to focus on this because this is the issue that focuses on Supergirl and Lobo working together. I think there's a lot of potential here, and I wish they would kind of go back to this at some point maybe, or, do like another longer team up with them. Lobo has experience fighting Superman. I think that's another thing that could play into like a more comedic story with the two of them together. Like this sort of, longer road trip kind of thing. This was a really good run of the Brave and the Bold back in the day. Again, almost 20 years ago now. It was Mark Waid kind of going on a tour of the DC universe with all these different characters that we'd never seen work together before. And, with Lobo being in the new Supergirl movie, I figured this was the perfect time to look back at this issue. So yeah, my only real complaint with this book is that there's just not enough of it. So it works within the context of the bigger Lords of Lux storyline. But again, I would like more of this. Having said that, though, I'd probably rate this near mint. Mark Waid is doing kind of what he does best in this storyline. You can't argue with George Perez's art here. And again, he's great at team books. So it's fun seeing him just kind of match these different characters together, some that he'd probably never drawn before, that kind of thing. That's what I would give this book here. I don't think this is in print right now. I know it is available to read on the DC Universe Infinite app if you want to read it there. I don't think these issues go for that much either, too, if you want to dig them up at your local comic shop or online somewhere. But yeah, a really good run of Brave and the Bold. I really like the Mark Waid run on this. There was a fun issue later on, too, with Flash and the Doom Patrol teaming up that kind of stood out. And I think, I want to say J. Michael Straczynski took over after Waid left for a while, too, and there's some good issues in there. But yeah, check this out if you can, or if you just really like the new Supergirl movie, and if you just want to see more of Supergirl and Lobo working together. But yeah, have you ever read this story? What did you think? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter/X @Detective651, also on Instagram @Detective651. Be sure to check out my t-shirt store at tpublic.com/user/Detective651 Got a lot of nerdy designs on there, and there's sales all the time, so check it out frequently.